All right. We'll go back to education for Nepal, November 17th. I think this is lesson six. All right. Here's the YouTube channel for our past lesson recordings. And we're going to be teaching biology, chemistry, and history today. And start off with biology.
So for biology, we're mainly going to talk about cell biology. And cell biology is the study of cells, and cells are like the basic units of structure and function in living organisms, and they basically make up like your body. And to give a little background information, all cells contain a plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and genetic material. And for example, nerve cells that are found in like your brain and spinal cord, they have long extensions to transmit signals. And today we're mainly going to focus on cell division and gene expressions. So in cell division, there are two different types, which is mitosis and meiosis. And in mitosis, a cell makes an identical copy, while in meiosis, they're uh, they're distinct. So when so mitosis, they produce two daughter cells, and in meiosis, they usually produce four, which are smaller and don't contain the same amount of chromosomes as the parent cells. And as stated before, mitosis, cells only divide once, but in meiosis, cell divide twice. And mitosis is usually for growth and repair, while meiosis is usually for rapid production. And now moving on to gene expressions. So, a gene expression is the process of which genetic information in a gene is used to create a protein, and the protein carries out the gene's function. And a gene is a unique sequence of DNA that codes for protein function, and a gene basically controls the traits of a cell. And there are two processes, one after the other, which is transcription and translation. So during transcription, DNA is copied to messenger RNA, and after there's translation, where RNA is a template for translation, which forms it into a protein.
All right, cool. For chemistry today, we're going to be talking about spectroscopy and the photoelectric effect. So first, we'll start off with spectroscopy, which is the study of how matter interacts with electromagnetic radiation, which is also basically just light. And it is classified into different types depending on the wavelength or frequency. So on one end, we have basic radio waves, and it just increases to microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. And when we're talking about electromagnetic radiation, it doesn't include just like the light you see around us. It also just includes a lot of other things like radio waves, like I said, and ultraviolet light. All right, so molecular movement. Molecules can move in different ways, which are classified into translational, rotational, and vibrational movement. And it's kind of affected by light whenever light hits it. For example, microwave radiation, which is lower in energy than visible light. When it strikes at particles, it causes them to rotate. And when a compound absorbs visible or ultraviolet light, the electrons absorb the energy and can go into a higher energy state. And here are like the different types of movement. Rotational movement, it can have like bending in the compounds, or the elements can stretch away from each other, and they can also rotate and just randomly move. And finally, we have the photoelectric effect. which is basically how when light shines on the surface of a metal, electrons can be ejected from the surface. And it's this happens because of how light has both wave-like and particle-like properties. And not all light will cause electrons to be ejected. Lower energy light will be less likely to do so. So in the image, you can see when the red light hits the metal, it does not eject any electrons because of the lower wavelength, which means it has lower energy. While the green light and blue light both eject electrons, the blue light being the highest energy, so it causes the electrons to be ejected at a faster rate. And that's about it for chemistry.
All right, for history, it's World War One, not two, but yeah, World War One. All right, so it began because of the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, the heir to the Austrian Empire, and because during this time, all the countries had alliances with other countries. So by declaring war on Austria, they also, Germany and Turkey also got involved. And this led to the Central Powers versus the Allies. The Central Powers were Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Turkey, while the Allies were France, Great Britain, Russia, Italy, Japan, and later the US. All right, so we compare the two sides. The Allied powers generally have more resources, so more population, divisions, and modern battleships. But the Central Powers have better steel production, and their training was better, as well as German naval technology at the start of the war was more advanced due to their submarines. All right, so some new technologies that were used in this war were machine guns, the type you see on the right, rapid firing artillery, submarines, as well as chemical weapons. And all of these contributed to why this war had so many casualties and why it was called the Great War at first. All right, so this was Germany's plan. It was the Schlieffen plan. I hope I pronounced that right. It was focused on defense in the east against Russia and focusing their offense on France with the goal of surrounding the northeastern part of it and capturing France, as you can see from the arrows. And then there's also two other fronts. There was the war at sea, which was Britain's Royal Navy against the German U-boats. And over time, their technology got better, and then in the war in the air, it was the first major conflict to use planes. And by the end of the war, the Allies were producing 5 times more planes and led to the creation of the first Air Force that is independent, that is an independent military branch. It was, I think, Britain's Royal Air Force or something. And here, in 1917, Russia stepped out of the war due to the Russian Revolution. And then in 1917, America also enters. They started with neutrality, but because German submarines sank many US ships and vessels, the US felt they had to get involved. And then the Arab Revolt destroyed the Ottoman Empire, and Turkey pulled out. And then Austria-Hungary was slowly dissolving due to nationalist movements. And then the conclusion, the Treaty of Versailles ended World War One and was signed in 1919. It blamed the war on Germany mainly, but also the other Central Powers, which didn't turn out well. It forced Germany and the others to pay reparations and limited Germany in nearly all aspects from their military to their economy. Total 9 million were killed and 21 million were wounded. And part of the reason why so many died was because it helped spread the Spanish flu, killing anywhere between 20 to 50 million people. And that's it. Yeah, thank you for coming. If you have any topics for history that you want to see, I'm fine with anything. You could do anything from events to even people.
Okay, thank you everyone. Feel free to stay if you have any question, or yeah, you can just fill out the Google form to give suggestion on any topic you want to teach or to learn about. Yeah. Well, Gracia, can you stop the recording?